Hello, everyone. This is Beyond the Chat. So we come here every Tuesday at 1 o'clock right after our Content Marketing World Twitter chat ends. Hashtag CM World if you're familiar with it. If you're not, come join us next Tuesday. But we are coming to you from the Content Marketing Institute. And CMI, we are the leading education and training platform for all things content marketing. Our mission is simply to advance the practice of content marketing. So we're thrilled to be with you today. A little bit about CMI, if you're not familiar, we have a few events. We have Content Tech Summit coming up in just a few weeks in June. Content.tech is the website if you want to go take a look. We are targeting there, if you're in content and you're in strategy and technology, this event is for you. It's virtual, and I'm really excited about it. We just announced our keynote is Kat Cora, the amazing chef. And she's doing both a little presentation as well as a cooking demonstration, so don't miss that. We also have Content Marketing World, our big flagship event happening in September 28th through October 1st. It's hybrid, so if you want to come to Cleveland, we'd love to see you. If you want to do it on your computer, you can do that too. Then we also have Content Marketing University for some online education. Content Marketing Awards are happening right now if you've done some great work last year that you'd like to jump in and enter the awards program. And we've got a daily blog you could subscribe to. And lastly, we've got an amazing consulting arm that Robert Rose leads. So enough about us. Let's jump in. So I'm so excited. Maureen Jann, one of my really good friends and just an amazing content marketer, is joining us today. So Maureen, thanks for the chat.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's so much fun.
Like I said, sorry I've had 3 cups of tea before we got on the chat. So I'm a little bit like, ooh, super excited. And plus I'm with you, so I'm just so excited.
It's so funny. I have had 0 caffeine this morning and it shows. So I'm just going to like print my hair and look fabulous and like, try to sound smart.
You always look fabulous. So I met Maureen, I was trying to think of the year and then my day got away from me. Was it 2018, 2017?
I think it was 2016, actually.
2016, see? That's been a while. And she came to Content Marketing World and she brought a bingo game. I think people have heard the story before, but I kind of went over to you. I'm like, what's that? Tell me what you're doing. And she just wanted to meet people. And then we sat down at Urban Farmer, a restaurant in Cleveland, after the event one day. And it was like just instant like connection. So it's just been fun ever since to get to know you and to see your amazing work and talk to you online so much this year. Our group had kind of got me through this year, knowing that we were online together, we could jump on Zoom calls and whatever. So yeah. So okay, I'm gonna stop talking. I want to ask you, tell people how NeoLuxe kind of came to be and where you were and Chris and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had come to sort of a pivot point in April of last year as the pandemic was ramping up, and I was really like worried about, I'm a primary breadwinner of my family, and really worried about whether or not like we were going to see it through as a business owner, as a solo business owner. And I'd been working with this amazing person named Chris Kraft for the last year as a contractor of mine, and we had sort of dabbled in this idea of being business partners. And when a big opportunity fell through for a full-time job, I was like, I'm going to double down on my business and I'm going to do that by partnering with somebody. So like essentially, well, first, I had never met Chris Kraft in person. So Chris and I have still never met in person to this day. We met over a Slack chat. We worked together for a year. We interviewed each other's networks to sort of build up confidence and understanding about what we were about. We interviewed each other's spouses. It was a very in-depth process. And then, we launched a new business in the middle of a pandemic. And it doesn't seem like that would be like that because I actually had a consultancy for about 3 years prior, but bringing, we had to start with a new name and new brand awareness and this whole thing. And so we've spent the last year. So we're celebrating our year anniversary in June, which is kind of crazy. And I couldn't be prouder of what we built. And it's been so great to work with somebody who comes from such a different perspective with such a big, giant, amazing heart. And so I'm just the luckiest girl.
So what do you think, Chris, what skill set did he bring that you really needed to complete your company?
So, well, Chris is a by trade writer, and he comes from a very technical background. I am not a writer. I like to write, and I'm like a B+, A- writer, but he has just writing in his bones in a way that I do not. And I am more of the strategy side, and he's more of the project management side. And I like to think about customer care from a client perspective in a way that's different than he does. And so he actually brings all these alternative business approaches to our business, or to our partnership. So thinking about business in new ways, finding ways to bring in money in ways that I would never have thought about. So we're kind of a delightful pair.
Nice. And you are a good writer. Let's just go back to that for a second. But finding
Thanks.
someone to do that with you is a great thing. And then how does the co-working space fit into to all this?
Oh yeah, so I'm a co-owner of a co-working space in a suburb of Seattle, which is really fun. And so I would have needed an office for my organization anyway, and it just happened to come up at the same time that a co-working space was up for sale. So I ended up partnering with their existing community manager, and now I run NeoLuxe out of the co-working space. We actually do a lot of the staffing out of the co-working space. So we've hired, I think 3 of our members are now part of our company. So,
nice. Well, that's a great thing. Get
yeah,
to know them a little bit, see if they fit your culture.
exactly. It's a good way to
Awesome.
vet people and figure out who they are. And honestly, we hire for culture fit first, skill second, and then, well, culture fit, attitude, then skill. And you can teach a lot of things to people, but if you have a crappy attitude, it's really hard to come back from that.
Right. Most definitely.
Yeah.
So I have 2 questions. I was looking at your Facebook page this morning, just trying, like, what questions can I ask her that I don't know the answer to? So what took you from California to Seattle?
So my boyfriend had broken up with me. I was 23. So let me just be clear. No, I think it was 22 actually. I was 22. My boyfriend had broke up with me. The Bay Area was in like in the dot boat a bust. There was no jobs. Like people were standing outside with like sandwich boards of their resumes on them, like as traffic flew by. It was awful, like really terrible. My roommate was wandering around our apartment naked, and it was really, really awkward. And it was just time to go. So like I packed up my Toyota Celica I had never owned a jacket before. I didn't have a real
Oh,
heater
wow.
in my car. And I packed my car so full that it was hitting the wheel wells, you know. I left at like 5 a.m. I showed up at 5 p.m. and I was meeting a friend who had actually kind of done the same escape route the year before, and we went to happy hour. That was and I'd never been to Seattle. I'd never seen it. I was hoping it was a real city and it wasn't just a figment of everybody's imagination. So it was a really amazing adventure. It was just time for me to go. And it was really important for me to sort of like stretch my legs as a grown up. So, and I am immeasurably changed by that choice. I met my husband within the first 4 months of living there. So it was a pretty amazing adventure.
It's meant to be. So you went there without a job?
I had nothing.
Oh my
I
God.
had nothing. I was sleeping on a fold-out couch. I ended up getting strep throat in the first 3 months, and the guy I was dating before I left sent me antibiotics. Like it was a I was, it's just the hot mess that you are in your early 20s sometimes. I mean, some people are not hot messes. I was a hot mess.
So you also have an art background. Are you doing anything both for work or for fun that kind of keeps you in that community, or keeps you using your skills?
Yeah, so I'm actually currently, which I'm trying to get out of, I'm the de facto graphic designer for NeoLuxe Marketing. In fact, I actually did the NeoLuxe brand. But I do love it. It's one of my favorite things to do is to just sit down and turn off my thinking brain and turn on my creative brain and just sort of like take something and make it into, take nothing and turn it into something. But it's definitely also extremely time consuming. If you're a business owner and you're also a producer, it makes it very challenging to set aside that time. But what I am doing sort of from a personal perspective is I've discovered these very complicated paint by numbers. Have you seen these at Michael's? Like,
I
or
have.
at any craft stores? They're
Yes.
insane. Mine is like a 3,000, like 3,000 little spots to paint. It's insane. So I do that on the weekends and I drink tea. It makes me really happy.
Are your kids artistic?
My kiddo is artistic. She really loves to make things, but she's really quite the singer. That's what she does. She likes to wander around the house and sing her little solos all over the place.
So one thing I love about you is how outspoken you are. When it comes to social justice, sustainability, politics, local businesses, you give it your all. Where does that come from?
I have an an inscrutable sense of doing the right thing, and I am hyper responsible. So I internalize that very, very easily. And if, as somebody who tends to be part of the ruling class, I feel like it's my responsibility to stand up for people who don't look like me. I sometimes mess that up. It sometimes is ugly. In fact, the first 4 years of me actually trying to explore this space, like I made a lot of mistakes. But I think it's incredibly important to walk the talk, and having a business partner like Chris makes that possible too from a business perspective. But using your platform, I mean, I am relatively visible and I live a very out loud life. And if you looked at me, I want to make sure that you see that I don't tolerate bigots and things like that. That's really important to me. And I want you to know where I stand right away, because I've lived my whole life not for everybody. So that's just like part of my DNA. Like I am fundamentally not for everybody. A friend of mine calls it a hot pink pair of pants, just not for everyone. I think that's brilliant. And I think that this is a critical piece of what makes me me. And so if you just need to know who I am, because if you don't know who I am and you don't know what I stand for, you're not going to want to work with me, and you're probably not going to want to be my friend. So you got to make the choice. You're either like, path A or path B.
Right. Have you lost or gained clients because of that?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm so outspoken, people know what they get into before they get into it with me. So people self-select themselves right out of the gate. So for me, that's actually great. But it is interesting to learn about having a multicultural organization the way NeoLuxe is. It's we have a variety of backgrounds, a variety of skin colors, a variety of orientations, and it's very interesting to navigate that. I think I had always done it very naturally as a woman in business, making sure that I was thinking through who I was going to go after and who I was going to focus on from a business perspective. And now I have to expand that type of filtering and that type of protection mechanism to make sure that we're working with clients who fully appreciate who we are and what we bring to the table.
Did you build the company like that by design, or was it just you found the best people and you just created this amazingly multicultural company?
I think, I mean, I didn't go out to pick people who didn't look like me. It happened to be that I did end up with people who didn't look like me, which is amazing and made us all the stronger,
For sure.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So one fun question. You love shoes.
Oh,
If you could keep one pair of shoes that you own, what would they be?
They're a hot pink pair of knee-high, zip up and lace up, they're amazing. In fact, if you go to LinkedIn and you look at my headshot, I'm wearing those boots in that picture, but they're called Jazzies and they're amazing. They're absolutely stunning. They're like a maroon and hot pink patent leather with big industrial zipper. Oh, they make me feel a rock star.
All right, we have time for some questions. I'm going to keep talking unless someone chimes in with a question. So please let us know. So if you could do a Twitter chat on any topic, what would be something that you would want to participate in and be the guest on? Content marketing or otherwise?
I have to tell you, like a lot of my hobbies have fallen off. Like I could talk about shoes all day, but like I don't know if that's Twitter chat worthy. But yeah, a lot of my hobbies have fallen off. Oh, I'm learning how to speak Spanish. That's fun. I would like to learn how to like Spanish for learners, like Twitter chat.
You're doing it, or you want to know how? I
am doing it. I actually I'm 120 days into learning Spanish right now.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
For what reason?
Well, I have to say, like every time my family went down to Mexico quite a bit when we were growing up because it was close to California. And although being the whitest white girl, I will say, is a little challenging, I loved hanging out. My mom would go jewelry shopping and I'd be like hanging out outside with the little dudes who like squat in the sun. And they would teach me Spanish and then they would give me tequila. It was amazing.
I mean, I've been doing some genealogy with my mom and trying to translate documents from Polish to English. And that's I feel like Spanish might be easier. Like Polish is really hard.
I feel lucky learning Spanish because the structure of the language is very similar to English. Like they have a few things that are like exceptions to the rules, at least as far as I know right now. Like, but yeah, it's been really interesting to learn how similar our languages are.
Yeah, like I took French for 10 years. Don't ask me to speak it, but I did. And in fact, I could look at something in Spanish and kind of understand it just because same thing.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense.
So I was also looking through some questions on like icebreaker questions or, rapid fire questions to ask. And one of the questions that I saw was, if you could pick up a new skill in an instant, besides speaking Spanish, what would it be?
Well, dang it. I would pick Spanish because that's awesome. I would also love to learn to knit because I used to crochet quite a bit, but like there's this weird like mental block between crochet and knitting. Like some people are like, I can only crochet, and other ones are like, I can only knit. And then there are the weird ambidextrous people who I admire immensely. But for some reason, knitting feels very difficult. But I was actually doing some research at one point about knitting versus crochet. And did you know that crochet didn't come into use until like the early 1900s, I think it was, because it's an inefficient use of yarn versus knitting, which is extremely efficient. So fun facts. In fact, the only way crochet could happen at all is because there was an industrial revolution to make a volume of yarn. These like things I never needed to know. What's that?
You just looked that up one day?
I did, because I have weird interests.
It's been a long year.
Well, that was a couple of years ago, honestly. I wouldn't chalk that up to pandemic. That's just me. I'm just weird.
So our library was offering free knitting classes. It might have been crochet. I don't even know. Free something classes with yarn and needles. And I really wanted to go. My kids were super little, and I took one of my neighbors reluctantly. She did not want to go with me. I'm like, just come on, it's like an hour, free class. What could, if nothing else, we're together, right? So she has made hats, sweaters, scarves, you name it. My scarf is still like this long. She did so much better than I did.
I have to tell you, there's a certain part of your brain that is required to follow patterns. It's very difficult if you have scatterbrain, and I have a hardcore scatterbrain. So I used to just make up my own patterns because that felt better to me and it was easier for me. So I just make stuff up, and I've done all kinds of weird things like stuffed animals and like, little bomber jackets for babies, that kind of thing. But it was super fun. But I found that after I had a kid and then during the pandemic, like my brain can't function at that level, like drawing, like going and reading a pattern, figuring it out, and then like, staying with it long enough. You're like, oh God, this is going to take forever. I quit. So I've come to the point where I don't really do that a lot anymore because it just doesn't, I just don't have the space.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you going to do? What about you? What would you do from if you had could have any skill, what would it be?
This is not interview the interviewer.
Right about it?
Probably sing. Oh, I love music so much, and I cannot play an instrument to save my life. And I would just love to be more. I sing all the time. I shouldn't, but I do. We realized that once the pandemic hit and then my whole family was home, they're like, you sing all day long. I didn't realize because I've been home by myself for so long.
Oh man, you and my daughter should go hang out together because she literally like sings constantly. It's just endless song. And you probably sing songs. My daughter just sings. So it's very joyful though. You have to appreciate it. I love singing. I love that people sing. I think did you know, here's another fun fact. Did you know that when you sing, it actually connects, there's something at the back of your throat that connects to your cervical spine that triggers some sort of chemical in your brain that makes you happy?
I believe that. I did not know that, but I totally believe it.
Yeah, it's totally a thing. Yeah.
You are so useful.
I know a lot of weird facts.
All right. Well, we took so much of your time today. In our community, we're so lucky to have you in our community. You bring us new information, you bring us your happiness and excitement, and you just make us all better to be around. So thank you.
Oh, well, I love you all too. You've kept me sane through a very, very challenging time. I know I've cried to both you and Mo more than once, and like as a business owner, so I'm so grateful for all of you too. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Same. And thank you to Monina Wagner, who is behind the scenes of Beyond the Chat, who is running this because some of us are technically challenged. Not really, but just for this, I am. So thank you, Mo, for being here, and for everyone that joined in and came from the chat over to here. And if you haven't been on the Twitter chat, I'll see you next Tuesday, noon Eastern. #CMWorld. Follow along, jump in. We'd love to talk to you. So thanks, Maureen.
Thank you.
We'll talk to
Bye,
you soon.
ladies. See you later.